but you can deal. Okay. Have you ever made a mountain out of your mashed potatoes? Well, in Steven Spielberg's film, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Richard Dreyfuss, who plays a character called Roy Neary, is obsessed with this mountain, Devil's Tower in Wyoming. So obsessed, he recreates this mountain out of everything from trash from his yard to mashed potatoes on his plate, anything. Today I'll discuss the relevance of Spielberg's film to Devil's Tower, the eerie turkey vultures that occupy the dead, empty trees, and the theories about how the mountain itself was formed. Why did Spielberg choose Devil's Tower as the mysterious alien-infested mountain in Close Encounters? For obvious reasons, it's a real creepy place and a great place to film a science fiction movie. According to Joseph McBride, author of Steven Spielberg, a biography, in Close Encounters, Roy Neary has a close encounter with an alien and soon becomes obsessed with UFOs. He begins to see an image in his head and can't stop recreating it, a distinctive butte, known today as Devil's Tower. I visited with my family this last summer. On the drive up to Devil's Tower, you have to circle the mountain in order to get to the viewing point. Let me flip this over. Okay. As my family and I were driving, I noticed trees just bare of leaves, no signs of animal life, just dead. As we drove further, I saw an almost dead tree covered in turkey vultures. Like, you couldn't see through it. It was crazy. From personal experience, it was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. They circle the mountain all day, and they never leave. To add to this eeriness, Devil's Tower is made of phonolite porphyry. According to National Park Services at Devil's Tower, phonolite refers to the ringing of the rock when a slab of rock is struck, and it has the ability to reflect sound. Because of this, it's as if there's a constant ringing tone as you're sitting there watching the mountain. Although we know what the mountain is made of, we still don't know how the mountain was formed. According to Mary Alice Gunderson, author of Devil's Tower, Stories in the Stone, there are two main competing theories for the formation. One, the tower is the remaining neck of a volcano whose outer layers have been eroded away. Or two, the tower is exposed to a body of laccolith, which is an intruding body of rock that's squeezed between layers, causing them to dome above it. This exposure will cause the rock to erode. Up close, you can see that the mountain itself is actually made up of pillars. In this picture, I know it's pretty little, but this is the side of the mountain up close, and those are all pillars. Most pillars, not each one, most pillars have 6 sides, and that's why they call it Devil's Tower. This little picture right here is what it would look like inside all of these 6-sided towers, and it's just so weird that there's nothing else in the world, no other rock formation that is formed like this. It's the only one in the world. I have discussed the relation of Devil's Tower to Spielberg's film Close Encounters, the strange turkey vultures, and how the mountain was formed. It might be creepy and strange, but Devil's Tower is a beautiful place with many mysterious adventures to offer, and I hope you'll be able to experience them firsthand. Those are all vultures. I couldn't find any vultures that I took, like from the trip.
So Sam, what did you think?
I really liked it. I thought your introduction, like that started the energy going, and you know, kept it throughout your whole thing. I thought the only thing to add was your visual, because it was kind of small, and I had a hard time seeing some of the things. But I thought it was, you know, really good how you explained it and how it's kind of like a, you know, no animals and stuff, just vultures. So it's kind of like a gloomy place, you know. And I thought it was really neat and interesting.
Thank you.
That's pretty good.
All right, I like the Spielberg story from Close Encounters that you use as an attention device. If that was your attention device, it'd be great. You, however, start with an apology before you even get started in the speech. You don't want to do that. That kind of gives a negative impression. You identify the topic very clearly. That's good. Your thesis statement's a little broad, but we know what the subject area is. And I thought you had a good preview of what the structure is going to be in the speech. It's interesting because you're very consistent about citing sources on the material. That part I liked pretty well. Your explanations are pretty good. It just seems to kind of rush through, though. I think that you need to add a little bit more, having people talk about it or sharing some of the experiences that you had there, or something else to just kind of fill it in, because it just doesn't, coagulate very much. It just kind of zips through. It's a 3-minute and 40-second speech, and you had 8 minutes, so there's a lot of room to add some things in there. For instance, I liked what you did at the beginning, talking about most people being familiar with the location because of the Spielberg film. And there are people, you've got one person that you're quoting who talked about that, the Erie location, that sort of thing. There are probably other people who've had similar kinds of experiences or who have written about it. I'm sure that there are tour books that talk about those kinds of things, and you can get maybe a little bit of material like that into the speech. You mentioned the sound at one point, and I was kind of thinking, well, I could use a little bit more description of what it is you're talking about, or some concept of it, and I didn't get much of that. The formation of the butte, for instance, I think that would be one of those things that you mentioned 2 theories on that, and that would have been a place maybe where you could have done a little bit more in explaining what those 2 theories are, how they work, maybe even visualizing something that goes along with them. It's like the top of a volcano type thing, and show us how a volcano forms and why it might come out looking like this. You've got those nice hexagonal sort of things that you're making reference to. The visual is a little bit of a problem there, but the point that it's the only place in the world that has this kind of thing, that's the thing that to me is most fascinating. And what are the theories about it? What have people said? What do scientists speculate? What are their guesses about those things? That's another place where you could maybe fill in a little bit. The visuals, everybody knows exactly what the problem with them is, so we don't have to point that out too much. Almost all of those things, if you'd just taken the images that you had and put them on a transparency, it would have been easier to see. And then there are places for a couple of other things too, but as it was, it just seemed like it's a little amateurish, it's a little last minute. Instead of being something that's integrated into the speech, it's something that's kind of an addendum to the speech. So let me just add it on. And I think it needs to be integrated in the speech. There are a lot of things about this that I liked, and then just some things that kind of frustrate me because there's not the payoff that I would like to have. Like I said, the structure is really good. The topic is good. You've got some interesting imagery and ideas to talk about there, but it needs to be pumped up a little bit and made a little bit more intriguing. The presentation things, I'm not gonna, like I said, I mentioned them in passing. When I post this, watch your posture, because you'll notice that you've got this hip pointing thing that's going on. It's almost like you swing one hip out to one direction and one goes out the other direction, and you just need to have a little bit more confident posture when you're speaking. All right.